I left my corporate job earlier this year and chose a path of freelance and also started doing content part-time. And these are the 5 things that I did to rebrand my life. The first thing I did was to start journaling. And I would preface that journaling differs person by person. Your cadence can be once a week, it can be twice a week, it could be once a month. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when I first started journaling, I almost had this vision in my brain where I was like, I need to journal every single day, because if I don't, then I'm not truly journaling. And I realized that everyone is so different, our lives are so busy and we can only do so much. I also found journaling to be quite therapeutic because I am a Scorpio moon and Capricorn sun. So that means that a lot of the time I'm kind of like overthinking a lot of things, and I feel like my brain is constantly at war with itself. So as someone who was an overthinker, a thought daughter, if you will, I found journaling to be super therapeutic because it really allowed myself to create this space where I can just brain dump anything that came to mind. I put on paper. Any emotions that I felt, I put on paper. It gave you a space to really validate your emotions, but also allowed myself to work through those emotions. So brain dumping all your feelings onto a journal, or what some might call morning pages. This is an exercise coined by Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. And essentially it means dedicating like 3 pages of just brain dump. You're just letting all your emotions flow. You're getting everything on paper. And this exercise was kind of categorized for the morning because when people wake up, they kind of just let their brain go. But for myself, I was such a night owl that I ended up doing morning pages at night. So right before bed, I would just sit there and just talk about everything that happened to me during that day, talk about maybe some emotions that I felt, talk about maybe if there's conflict, or even talking about things that I felt super grateful for, and really allowed myself to dive deep into why I felt the way I felt. So journaling really helped to understand how I truly felt, but also where all these emotions stemmed from, and it allowed myself to work through honestly some childhood trauma that I didn't realize was impacting my thought process today. All that to say, finding a journaling routine is so subjective to the person, and I highly recommend finding a cadence that works for you. For me, like I said, it was journaling at night. It was journaling maybe once a week, sometimes once every other week. Consistency can show up as once a month. So with that in mind, there is no pressure to journal every single day, and don't beat yourself up if you're not able to meet that expectation, because you are the one who is setting that expectation. The second thing that I did to rebrand my life was to listen to my gut and really trust my intuition. So I would say this is a byproduct of journaling. Being able to understand your emotions, being able to understand your triggers really allowed myself to build that confidence in the decision that I was going to make. There's also this concept called human design. Human design is essentially a system that acknowledges that every single individual on this planet perceives their environment and energies in various different ways. I'm going to insert the exact description on here in case I butcher it. So according to human design, my sacral response is wait to respond. This means that regardless of the opportunities that are being presented to me, I have to essentially wait for my gut to give a response. I need to listen to my gut and listen to my intuition to see if this is something that I want to move forward with. Because what I've noticed in the past, and this is a pattern that I've definitely been able to recognize, through a lot of shadow work, through journaling, and also through talking with friends, is that I am so prone to burnout, and I can now understand when something doesn't serve me or when something is energetically draining. The more that I am being tested, if you will, by being presented tasks that aren't in alignment with who I am or what I want to do, I find that it's a lot more exhausting to get the one task done. And this really helped me understand, the types of opportunities that I was taking. When I think about my journey as a content creator, I was saying no to things that weren't in alignment with who I was, even though it was good exposure, even though it was free product. I just knew in my gut that wasn't the type of brand or the type of work that would get me energetically excited. So I think there's also power in being able to say no and to be able to know exactly what gives you fulfillment. And the third thing that I did was treat content like a part-time job. I was doing content for 2 years, and this was on top of a full-time 9 to 5. So that meant I had to carve out whether it was a Saturday or a Sunday to literally bulk shoot and bulk edit like 6 to 7 videos for the week. This also meant strategy and planning and really understanding my channel and understanding the type of content that really resonated with my audience. So on TikTok, my niche is fashion and thrifting. So that meant really understanding, the algorithm, although that is a beast to understand, but seeing the types of trends or types of videos that were doing really well for other creators within the industry, but also using tools like the creator search insights to understand the content gap, understand different topics that were trending within my audience, and honestly to sit down and really plan my videos. So take, for example, December 2025. Right now, everyone is focused on their latest wraps, whether it's like the songs they listened to, the purchases they did in 2025, some of their favorite memories of 2025. Everything is like a recap. So as a creator, you almost need to take that into account and start doing your own version of a wrapped. And by treating content like a part-time job, I was able to show up consistently, but to also have a very strategic plan for the industry that I was trying to pave a way in. And with all of that, I was able to land my first ever paid partnership with Uniqlo, which is such a crazy sentence to say. I am like truly so grateful for having that opportunity because it's opened up so many doors for me. And now looking back at the entire year, I was able to count 14 paid partnerships since the beginning of 2025. So that is to say that consistency, understanding your channel, also understanding the landscape can truly change your life if you just pay attention and you just have a strategy. The fourth thing I did this year was learn how to set boundaries. So earlier this year, I left my 9 to 5 and I honestly didn't have a backup plan. And I feel like that moment in my life really showed me that I did not have a boundary with work. And that meant being overworked, that meant feeling exhausted physically and mentally, and just not having space for myself. And on that topic, boundary with your mental health is so important. I am someone who thrives on recharging, having a bit of introverted me time. That way I'm able to show up as my best self for the people in my life. That meant saying no to spontaneous hangouts, sometimes saying no to my partner when I know I just want to be by myself. These are things that I set time for and that I know if I'm unable to rest, I'm unable to be the best version of myself. And I also think in this age of social media, people are under this impression that you always have to be outside or you always have to have a million social commitments in a week, in a month. And I slowly learned that that was not the lifestyle I wanted. And I became very selective with what I was saying yes to, and also being mindful of not scheduling a lot of social hangs within the week. Because I just found that I was going through life versus actually living my life. And the fifth thing that I did that truly rebranded my life was cycle syncing. By doing this, it was truly a game changer because I stopped pushing my body 100% every single week. Instead, I really listened to my body and I knew, during my luteal and my menstrual phase that my energy was going to be low. So the pressure to do like a HIIT workout or the pressure to, show up for a million different social commitments was not possible. And I needed to set that boundary. Beyond workouts and beyond just, the social aspect of life, I also started to incorporate a lot of traditional Chinese medicine teas into my routine. I got inspired by my friend Anna. She is the founder of Inner Code. Inner Code is basically a cycle syncing tea brand that you should definitely check out. I'm also going to link her stuff below because if this is of interest to you, I highly recommend following her. But essentially, since introducing TCM teas into my routine, I have literally nothing but good things to say. So for every single phase of my menstrual cycle, I would be drinking a certain type of tea to really cater to my energy and to cater to the phase that my body was in during that time. I was getting insane cramps, I think, ever since I started my menstrual cycle. So 3 months after drinking TCM teas, I saw the biggest change in my life. I was able to work out for the first time on day 1 of my menstrual cycle, which is so crazy to say because I remember just like being bedridden because of my cramps and just like not having any energy to leave my house. So the fact that I was able to do a workout class meant that something was working. So I'm not saying TCM is like the only way to go. Listen to your body. I'm not a medical professional, so don't take my advice literally, but if TCM is something you want to try out, definitely do so at your own discretion. But for my own personal experience, this is something that I'm going to continue doing because it's been such a game changer for me. And those were the 5 things I did to completely rebrand my life. I hope this gave you a bit of inspiration to learn more about yourself, your emotions, but more importantly, your capabilities, because if I can transform my life, 100% you can too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if anything resonated with you in this video, and I will see you in the next one.